No copywriting, y'all. I just had to get into the mood because y'all today, ooh. Let's retry that. It has been a super busy day. And what do I like to do when it's super busy? I like to spill some tea. So let's get into it, y'all. I have an event to go to today. I'm a little excited, I'm a little nervous. I'm like a half and half, you know? Half coffee, half milk, half nerves, half stress. And a dash of excitement. That's what it feels like. But y'all, let's get into it, because like I said, I am busy today and I am running short on time, but I always have time for y'all. So let's get into this video. The first thing I wanted to talk about, a grand jury declined to indict the woman who was accused and the reason as to why Emmett Till got lynched. And because they recently made this they decided not to indict on her, Emmett, she probably will never face charges again. Now, my personal opinion on this, I've heard about this case since I think the first time I heard about this case was in middle school. And I remember the first thing that came out my mouth is like, if you know that she's the reason and the cause for someone whose life was taken from them, basically, why wouldn't you indict on that? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't we put her in prison, throw away the keys, and probably throw a tiger in there with her? I'm not understanding. I don't get it. Like, I can't think of any reasoning or excuse that could be made to not put her in prison. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like every time we talk about this case, it's never going in his, like, Emmett Till's direction. You know what I mean? And I feel bad for that family, because a lot of people, I semi fall on this spectrum. When it comes to getting justice, the legal system is the way to go. I feel like justice can be brought in many ways, but we're gonna keep it PG-13 and keep it on the straight and narrow. I feel like the family consistently is trying to get justice for Emmett, and the legal system just keeps failing them. And my heart goes out to them. My heart does. I remember I did an interview with, oh my gosh, she was the creator. I'll put her name on the screen. And she directed the first episode for the ABC doc. It was like the 6-part episode about Emmett Till and his mother. And it's basically told from his mother's perspective of like everything that like happened leading up to, you know, him being taken out of the house and being lynched and everything like that. And like her fight to basically get justice for him. And like the decision that she made to have an open casket so people could see what happened to him and what these people who dragged that little boy out his house, well, the house he was visiting at that time, out the house, and did what they did, basically mutilated his body. And when we were talking about that, you know, one of the things I asked her was, when having the actors basically convey the emotion that was probably going on around that time, like, what's something that you had to talk to them about to get them into that headspace? So every time I hear about this case, like, it just I don't even know what he was going through at that time. Like, I don't even know what was going through his mind when this whole situation was happening. And like, it breaks my heart to think about the fear he was going through. It truly does. And I also want to say, quick PSA, brief intermission. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, it's because they're doing construction in my house right now. So if you hear my mom, dad, or anybody else talking, that's them. If you don't, ignore what I said and just continue with the video. The next thing I wanted to talk about, so Derek, and I'm probably saying his last name wrong, Chauvin, I think it's Chauvin. And if you don't know who he is, he's the one who basically was one of the main officers as to why George Floyd lost his life. So 8 correctional officers of color just won a huge settlement. It was $1.5 million because they were banned from guarding Derek Chauvin. So because of that, you know, they filed their lawsuit and they just won. And it's just like, when making that decision to not have people of color guard him, and I'm pretty sure like they weren't hurt by it, but at the same time, if you can get a check, get that check, baby. Get that check. I will never discount somebody from getting a check. It's like when y'all make that decision to not have people of color guard him, I just need to understand the logic, because my brain is trying to make 1 + 1 = 2, but I'm pretty sure if those people are there for their job, to do their job, the last thing that they want to do is put that in jeopardy because of him. At least that's my way of thinking. You know, are you here with me? Are you seeing what I'm getting at? Are you seeing what I'm touching down through? Touchdown? Do you get what I'm saying? Because I just don't understand the logic behind that. I really don't. Let me know what y'all think below, because maybe I'm just not seeing this from the right perspective. But let's do some quick math. 1500000. Right, 1.5 million, right? Divided by 8. Each one of them gets $187,500. Baby, you couldn't give that to me. Wait, I just got to do math on camera for y'all. I'm a little excited. If you know from my get ready with me, well, no. If you know from my get to know me, then you know I'm a math dork. So that just touched my spirit. I wonder if that's before or after tax. I don't think it really matters. It doesn't matter because they still gonna get a good, a little moolah, a little cha-ching, cha-ching. What Cardi B say? Money. But yo, let's get to the next thing, okay? So the next thing I wanted to talk about, so if you know, there's this OnlyFans model. Her name is Courtney Clenny. I feel like I'm butchering her last name, and if I am, girl, you be fine. So she's been charged with murder of her boyfriend. Her boyfriend's name was Christian, right? So I remember when this case first came out, and like it was discovered that apparently she killed him, and that she was saying, no, like I just ended up throwing the knife and it ended up hitting him or something like that. And then after the autopsy, they're like, no, like this penetrated into his chest. Like someone stabbed him, and you and him were the only ones in the room. I doubt he stabbed himself. I doubt it. So after that whole case was happening, I remember her going out traveling and people seeing her out at the bar and stuff like that after they found out that she killed him, right? And everybody was like, are you, trust to believe, if my boyfriend died, well, my soon-to-be man, if my soon-to-be man died, I'd be heartbroken. Take my heart. Just leave me here. That's like, I'd be dramatic. I'd be distraught, right? So for her to be out at the bar, I was like, all right, this already doesn't look good. Like there's something up here, right? So the video, and I'm gonna show you guys the video right now, and you see her walk into the elevator, and as soon as she walks into the elevator, she just like starts slamming her hands onto like the thing, like clearly just throwing a tantrum. So then he walks in, unfortunately the boyfriend who lost his life walks into the elevator, and like she basically starts beating on him, and he's like trying to like, yo, chill, you know, type of thing. And then, so according to TMZ, cops say they have this video, and in the video you clearly see her attacking him, and this happened in February. So as you can tell, like that relationship was already very toxic. And so if you know my friend Shayla, then you know her and I always talk about different things with each other. So her and I were talking about it this morning, and we were talking about like people being in toxic relationships and it getting to points where it's either physically abusive, verbally abusive, emotionally abusive, or anything like that, just falling within the category of toxic, right? And we were talking about how a lot of people, like there's a lot of times where we like to make jokes about people being in toxic relationships, like ha ha ha, like you're in a toxic relationship, da 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 da. It's really not funny, but you know, people make light of different situations however they make light. I've even been in certain situations where my friends have been in toxic relationships and I'm like, girl, you know, like a hockey key little joke. But like, when you really think about it, if you see the signs from the very beginning, I don't think that in any relationship you guys should be putting your hands on each other. Like, play fighting, like a quick like ha 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 ha, yes, that's okay to an extent, but I don't think that being in a relationship where someone either is talking down to you, or you guys are always arguing, or you're getting to the point where you guys are physically harming each other, like, that should be a sign to be like, no, I gotta go. Regardless of how much I love that person, like, I would have to go, because I just know that that's not a way of expressing love. And I was talking to Shayla about this earlier. I was saying to her, like, there's certain behaviors or certain things, let's just say, like, you know, that stem from the household when you see relationships with your parents. I've always seen certain things and I've always said, like, I won't have that in my relationship. And I've always had that, I would say, mental strength and like the say so, basically, like the say so, this, like, when I tell myself I don't want that, this will not be here for me, and I won't allow a situation like that, I mean that for myself, because I just know I don't want to be in that situation. I want better for me, and I want to have a relationship that's based on strengths. And when weaknesses are exposed, we work through that. That's the type of person I am. That's the type of relationship I want. And I was giving Shayla an example how, like, there was a guy I was talking to. I always tell him I want a relationship that's built on communication. I don't like arguing. I do not. Especially when it comes to my significant other, I do not want to argue. I truly hate that. Right? And that is my non-negotiables. So the moment that you and I are both in an elevated emotional state where we feel like we need to start yelling at each other, neither one of us is going to be listening. Right? So I was telling him, I was like, you're not in the headspace and I'm not in the headspace to talk to each other and actually listen to each other coherently. Like, you're not going to be listening to what I'm saying, and I'm not going to be listening to what you're saying, because I just don't want to hear what you have to say, which is going to lead into the arguing, and I don't want that. So like, I was trying to tell him that we need to implement boundaries where we realize where we're at heightened emotional states, like I said, where we need to walk away from each other or do something to get our emotional level down so we can have a clear and level-headed conversation. But some people do not understand that. So when I would tell him that, he would say, and this is the important part about making sure you say the right words, he said, you're just so stuck up. I don't know if you guys heard that motorcycle or car, I can't tell the difference. I just know I hate a hungry engine. Like, lower that thing, lower the baby down. Okay. Where was I? Right. He basically told me that I was stuck up because I always told him I never wanted to argue. And I'm like, the word for that isn't stuck up. It's not. This is why it's important to understand the words that you're saying, especially when you're trying to make an educated point and the word you use doesn't fall within that point. It doesn't even go with the context of the conversation. Like, you tried it. You very much tried it. And guess what? Since you tried it, let me correct it. And, you know, from there, after correcting him, whatever, like, that situation went on. We're not talking anymore because that was one of the things that I did not want in a relationship. And that's one of the things he refused to change with me or, like, adapt with me on. So, yeah, that went on a little bit of a tangent. But in this case, so, like I mentioned, police found the video, looked at it, and I feel so bad because I feel like I feel real bad today. Clearly, I feel very bad today. Like, y'all probably like, this is not the Rebecca I'm used to knowing, right? Who knew I was so emotional? And the last thing I wanted to talk about today. So basically, there was a video of Lil Baby rapping, right? He was and you know, people, they connect people who are in the background, and you see Jada Jada, Wada. I want to be like Jada, Wada. That's my favorite TikTok sound. So there's a video, like in the video, you see that Jada sitting in the background, and she had basically taken a picture in her outfit, so people like did that quick comparison, because you know, y'all is like the FBI, kind of better than the FBI. Oh, I know I said last thing I wanted to say, but there's another thing after this that I want to mention, including the FBI, which is, you know, we're going to get into it. So people in the comments were like, oh my god, are Jada and Lil Baby back together? And I'll never forget, I remember when they were going on their little off and on stage, like I would say like 3 years ago. I mean, they just broke up recently, like a few months ago, but like 3 years ago, they were on that on and off, and everybody was finding out that Lil Baby's cheating with these different people, different women, and everything like that. And I'll never forget that I was like, Jada, like, you created such a status for yourself. Like, you are on a whole island that most people at her age are still trying to get to. Why do you keep allowing this disrespect? But we're not gonna get into it, because I could talk about people disrespecting people in relationships every day, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record. So basically, everybody was like wondering if they got back together. So the Shade Room had posted the comparison of like Lil Baby and like the outfit that the girl was wearing in the background and what Jada was wearing, because she posted a picture of it. And she basically ended up commenting saying, it's 100% okay to be cordial with the person you're raising a child with. It's not normalized in today's society, but it's true. Y'all want me and Loyal Daddy to be beefing so bad. We over that stage. We friends, right? And I think it's very important that she said that, because it brings me to my point where there's a time I was speaking with one of my old coworkers, and I had said to her, I was like, oh, who are your kids with right now, right? And she was like, oh, they're with the father, like their father. And I was like, oh, your baby daddy? She's like, I don't like to refer to him as baby daddy. I like to refer to him as the father of my children. And when she said that, I was like, hold up, we need to do a deep dive, because I've never heard anyone tell me that. Because usually when I'm like, oh, that's your baby daddy or that's your baby mama, like, I just say it, you know, and I'm not trying to be shady or nothing with it. I'm just saying, like, that's your baby daddy, right? And she was saying how there's a negative connotation to that phrase a lot. When you hear baby daddy, you automatically think, well, when I hear it, usually, most of the time when people are like talking about their baby daddies, I think about a deadbeat, someone who you're having beef with, you're having drama with, all that stuff. And she was like saying, she was like, yeah, like him and I had this conversation. And I said to him, I will call you the father of my children, and you call me the mother of your children, because I don't want to be known as a baby mama, and I don't want you to be known as baby daddy. So it's like, when she said that, I was like, wow, I think those boundaries and having conversation, not saying that if you call the father of your children baby daddy, that you're not, I'm not trying to say that, but what I'm saying is, when you have conversations where you and someone can mutually agree on the boundaries that you set when you have a child with them, that is the best way to set a foundation and a relationship that you can show your kids. There's so many times we see people having kids with people and the relationship does not work out, and it just ends up toxic, just being toxic, because you guys can't have conversations with each other. Nothing you guys say to each other is going in. No one's receptive of the points that you're making, because y'all are so worried about beefing with each other. So it's like, in her case, when you see them together, the first thing you want to say is like, oh, they're back together again, like this on and off relationship. And it's like she was saying to her point, like, y'all want us to be beefing so bad. Like, we're friends, we're cordial, we're raising a child together. If I wanted nothing to do with him, I literally can't, because I have a person that I created with him, like a whole son. So why wouldn't they be cordial? And I absolutely agree with that point. Now, will I personally, if I have a boyfriend, will I be having his kid? Absolutely not. Which is why I hate when guys tell me, like, I'm put a baby in you. That's a threat. Don't tell me that. Like, that, you think that's cute? Do you really think that's cute? Telling me that you want to put a baby in me, that's cute to you? Baby, put the babies in your hand and spoon feed yourself. Don't do me. Don't do me. And the last thing that I do want to talk about, and this will be the last thing. So I mentioned the FBI. So the FBI had basically obtained a warrant to go search one of Trump's houses in South Florida. And they're basically saying that, you know, they're investigating him for espionage because they believe that he took federal documents, right? FBI agents recovered 11 sets of confidential records, and some which were top secret when they searched his house in South Florida. So it's like, I personally, when it comes to politics, Trump, Biden, I keep up to date with it just because of the work that I do, but it's not something like I'm deep diving into, right? But I think it's so funny because I've been seeing so many of Trump's supporters say that we need to get rid of the FBI, basically. Essentially, get rid of the FBI. And I'm like, what? And it's so funny to me because I think sometimes the way that people's logic works, especially when they support someone like Trump, it's like, what are you thinking? Like, are you thinking though? Are you thinking? Like, I say this all the time at work. Sometimes thinking shouldn't be free. If you knew you had to pay $20 to think, would you pay that $20 to say your thought? Like, I think if it was free, I think it being free just promotes people to think however they want to and create these ideas in their head that just 1 + 1 is not adding up to 2, baby. How you getting 653? How? Y'all got 99 problems and a thought ain't one. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And then also, look at me just giving a rant about politics. Go ahead, Rebecca. Good job.
Up against kids at 5 feet. It may be funny to you, but it's not funny to me, okay?
He's the Democratic candidate running against the current governor, Greg Abbott. So at one of his rallies, he was basically talking about the 19 kids and the 2 teachers who lost their lives. And he was talking about how the shooter basically went into a store and got AR-15s for what? Like, you got all these guns that are meant for the military to go shoot up this school, right? And so as he's talking, one of, I believe, Greg Abbott's supporters or whatever like that was in the background. He started laughing. So then after saying that, you see how everybody starts cheering. And I thought it was dope that he said that to him. But the thing I really want to talk about is, like, you hear someone talking about how people lost their lives because they have guns that they don't need. And the first thing you think to do is laugh. Like, you do realize the premises, the main point and premises of that conversation, that, well, what he was stating was that these kids lost their lives for a weapon that this kid shouldn't have had. Do you realize that's what he was talking about? And it's like, how do you think like that? Because if it was your child who was affected like that, what would you be doing? If somebody sat there and was like, ha 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 ha, and it was your child who unfortunately lost their lives, what would you do? Would you pull out the weapon that he's talking about and start shooting up the place too? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Like, how can people be, like, we're talking about children, and everyone knows once we start talking about dogs and children, those are the things that most people have a soft spot for. And it's like, we're talking about children who did nothing but literally get up and be excited for school. Get up and be excited to go finish an art project. Go sit with their favorite math teacher. Talk to their favorite English teacher. And that was the last day. Did they know that would be their last day? No. And the first thing you think to do while he's making his point is to ha ha ha. Come on, get it together. Seek help. Seek help. Professional help. For real. That's, y'all, I can't even get any more into it. I can't. That is all for today's video, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this tea with me. I hope I gave you guys enough information about certain things. If you do want me to elaborate on anything else, I can make another video and elaborate for you. But if there's any other tea that you guys hear in the coming weeks or anything like that that you want to talk about, or you want me to talk about and give my takes and opinions on it, definitely don't be afraid to DM me on either Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. Or you can also comment them down below and I will take a look and I will do it for you because I love y'all. And y'all should love me. And like I said, if you are watching this video, please like, comment, and subscribe because every little bit counts, okay? And if you support me, I support you. So let's do this together. This is our journey. Now, where's our next turn? Well, my next turn is to say bye, y'all.